Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report. Tonight it's not smoke, it's heat. A call out of the AFC lit up phones at Allen Park, and it wasn't about gadget plays or midseason depth. It was about closing time, about the last 2 minutes when games are decided by who knocks the quarterback off his spot. I've been piecing together what this means for Detroit right now, how it reshapes third and long where the cap math actually works, and what a realistic price looks like without blowing up the draft. I'm going to walk you through why this idea won't go away, how it would change Aiden Hutchinson's life, what Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell value in a finisher, and the exact risk profile we'd be buying. Stay with me, because a name lands when the timing makes sense. Here's the heartbeat. The Lions are good enough to be greedy. The offense can carry a Sunday. The line can bully fronts. But when you get into January football, you don't win series. You win moments. That means one dude who ruins protection plans after 52 minutes of chess. Detroit's rush has juice, no doubt. Yet you can feel the need for a pure edge closer opposite Hutchinson, who forces coordinators to choose a poison. If the last 2 drives of a one-score game are a referendum on your program, you want your defense announcing itself with violence at the top of the arc. Not praying for a coverage sack. Front office lens next. Because this is where reality filters rumor. Holmes doesn't chase names. He chases outcomes that match identity. Violent hands, disciplined edges, motor that survives double teams, and a history of showing up in big games. Fit matters more than fame. The reason this conversation is different is because the profile on the table is precisely that. A veteran with a mean first step, relentless counter, and a habit of turning the ball over when quarterbacks feel blind. You don't rent that lightly. You pursue it when the locker room is ready to absorb it, and the scheme can maximize it. From day one, cap mechanics are not a roadblock if you structure them correctly. You can trade for an edge on a revised deal, take the prorated number this year, and add a short extension that loads guarantees into 2026 with flexible triggers, roster bonuses that can be flipped into signing bonus, 2 modest void years to soften spikes, and playtime NFC title escalators that only kick if he's altering your ceiling. That keeps 2025 breathable for core pieces while you still have premium talent on rookie deals. The key is symmetry with Hutchinson's timeline. Protect the window without mortgaging 2 down the road. Zoom into the field and picture the rotation. Early downs, compress the C-gap, set a hard edge, force everything back into Allen McNeil's waiting arms. Passing downs, NASCAR package with 2 edges pinned wide, an interior looper threatening the A-gap, and a mugged linebacker threatening the snap count. With a true finisher on the opposite side, Hutchinson stops eating doubles on every high-leverage snap. That means cleaner hands, more inside counters, and fewer almosts. Football is a compounding sport. One elite trait on one side unlocks elite traits on the other. Now the timing, and why it's now or never. The AFC team on the other end is wobbling. The quarterback injury gutted the belief. The defense hasn't lived up to its billing, and a frustrated star is watching windows shrink. Contract noise from the summer never fully died. There was a 1-year restructure to get to week 1. Big money acknowledged, and mutual talk about revisiting things beyond this season. When you stack underperformance on top of contractual stalemate, phones start ringing. That's not fantasy. That's how this league breathes in October. Here's the moment you were waiting for. The target is Trey Hendrickson. 4-time Pro Bowler, the most disruptive player on Cincinnati's defense again this season. And exactly the archetype Detroit staff covets. Power through the near shoulder. Rip to clear, finish with violence at the ball. Cincinnati massaged his contract before the season, effectively turning 2025 money into a massive 1-year figure while leaving the door cracked to talk long-term later. He attended meetings through camp, got back on the practice field on schedule. And even inside a messy start, his production has been the tone setter, team-leading sack total, pressures that flip drives, and the constant feeling for offensive coordinators that your right tackle is in a fistfight for 3 hours. The Bengals are not blind to his value, but in a season trending the wrong way, Lead people believe they've at least listened to ideas. You cannot force their hand. You can, however, make the decision hard. So what does make it hard mean in Detroit terms? It means drafting a package that respects their leverage without sabotaging ours. My board tonight has a clean version, a second-round pick and a conditional day 3. Pick that escalates based on sacks and playoff advancement. You protect yourself with playtime thresholds. They protect themselves with upside if he balls out in January. If Cincinnati insists on a first, the conversation changes, and Holmes has shown he'll walk away rather than lose the plot. But there is a middle lane where both sides feel like adults. Scheme fit is as obvious as it gets. Hendrickson does not need a playbook chapter to impact the game. Line him up in wide 9, let him attack the set point, and build your games off his gravity. He's a natural complement to Hutchinson's length encounters. When offenses slide protection toward Iden, Trey is single on a tackle who is already kick-stepping to survive the corner. When they chip Trey with a back or tight end, the numbers favor Hutchinson's inside knife. This is how you manufacture clean 3rd and 7 looks without selling your soul in coverage. It's also how you feed your secondary more rush throws, which is exactly when balls start dying in the air for picks. Let's keep it accountable and talk risk. Age brings soft tissue flags. Usage spikes bring wear. A new deal would need injury protections and per-game active bonuses for the out years. Locker room dynamics matter too. Detroit's culture is not fragile, but you don't dump a big voice into a room that's already humming without clarity. The role here is closer, not celebrity opponents and matchups next, because this isn't theoretical. It's the NFC slate. Think about the quarterbacks you must beat to get where you're going, patient operators who erase edges with timing, plus a couple who can hit the exit door and burn you with legs. Hendrickson's path discipline keeps escape lanes narrower, and his long arm converts into a real speed to power that collapses launch points even when he doesn't win clean. Money again, because February is ruthless. If Holmes values the ceiling here, the extension writes itself. 2 new years. Guarantees into the first, rolling roster bonus into the second. Incentives tied to deep playoff runs, and a team option kicker if the sack-to-pressure ratio stays elite. That keeps the year-to-year marriage honest. If the body says no in 2027, you aren't trapped. If the production stays premium, nobody is mad at top-tier edge pay, and a cap that keeps climbing. Competition on the market is real. There are other contenders with pallets of picks and a hole in the rush plan. Dallas lurks but tends to guard capital. New England is in a long build. San Francisco is always aggressive, but has their own cap math to solve. Detroit's edge is clarity. We're not shopping for a star to splash headlines. We're hunting a closer to finish a roster that already wins the middle rounds of a fight. That sells in negotiations when the player wants January relevance and a defined job right now. Let me put this in Dan Campbell language, because that's the only language that matters in this building. You play 60 minutes like a bar fight you refuse to lose. When the stools start flying in the fourth quarter, you need one more brawler who never stops walking forward. Trey Hendrickson brings that. You feel it on the sideline, you feel it in the huddle, and the other team feels it when the right tackle is screaming for help that isn't coming. Before I land this, I want your voice on it. What's your number, Detroit? Would you send a second and a conditional 4th for Trey Hendrickson if it means Hutchinson sees single coverage on money downs and the Lions add a closer without breaking the bank? Who are your pairings? Which interior you want next to them on 3rd and long? And how many snaps would you put on the table in week 1? Here's my straight read. The Bengals season arc opened the door that contract noise left unlocked. Trey Hendrickson fits Detroit's identity and fixes a very specific January problem, finishing drives when the game tilts to chaos. The cap math is doable with a tidy extension. The draft price is survivable if you keep your line in the sand. And the on-field return is immediate. Fewer doubles for Hutchinson, more bad throws forced, and a defense that looks like its coach sounds. If Cincinnati truly listens, This is the rare move that raises the ceiling without breaking the floor. I'm all in on the conversation and cautiously in on the price. Second, plus a conditional. Clean structure, defined role. If the ass explodes, walk. If it stays sane, go. Detroit is ready for a closer, and Trey Hendrickson plays football like every down is a fourth quarter rep. Drop your package ideas below. Tell me how you deploy him in Aaron Glenn's calls. And subscribe with notifications so you don't miss the next turn. When this story moves, I'll be here first with the cap math, the roster ripple, and the truth about how it changes January for the Honolulu Blue.